Welcome to the Lansdowne Public Library's presentation on fact-checking, how to recognize hoaxes and scams and find trustworthy information. This is an information literacy presentation. Please be aware, this presentation will discuss examples of misinformation and include visual examples of racist and anti-Semitic symbols and illustrations. Our intent is not to offend, but educate and inform our community of the harms of misinformation and why fact-checking is of the utmost importance. This presentation will cover a brief history on the types of misinformation, AI, what you should know, questions that should be asked, signs you are being scammed, and also share trustworthy sources. Fake news throughout history. False news has always been spread throughout history. The term fake news was first used in the 1890s. It gained widespread use during the 2016 presidential election. The images on this slide are some examples of misinformation. Richard III, whose portrait you see here, has a reputation of an evil dictator-like king, all because of Shakespeare's play, which was a form of propaganda at the time it was written and first performed. The Viceroy's cigarettes ad is an example of misinformation being used to sell a product. And the photo of Teddy Roosevelt riding a moose, while really cool looking, is a doctored photo. This actually was created before the invention of Photoshop. To start, we'll talk about hoaxes. What is a hoax? A hoax is to trick into believing or accepting as genuine something false and often preposterous. The photo on the top left is of the Cottingley fairies. These photos were taken by two young girls and caused a sensational reaction in Victorian-era England, as many people believed them to be real photos of fairies. The famous surgeon's photo of the Loch Ness Monster was believed to be definitive proof of this creature's existence for years before being revealed as a hoax. Orson Welles famously tricked radio listeners in 1938 when his theater performed a very realistic and terrifying broadcast of War of the Worlds, which many people believed to be a genuine news story of alien invaders. Finally, the helicopter shark photo is one of the first hoaxes to circulate on the internet. Many received this photo in emails claiming it to be real, but it is in fact not. Propaganda. This is the spreading of ideas, information, or rumor for the purpose of helping or injuring an institution, a cause, or a person. Propaganda is used for a variety of reasons, most notably to enlist people in a military cause. On the left, you can see famous posters of propaganda used to encourage enlistment in the U.S. military. On the right, you can see propaganda such as D.W. Griffith's 1915 film, Birth of a Nation. The film is based on the book The Klansman by Thomas Dixon Jr. and portrays the Ku Klux Klan as heroic and promotes the treatment of African Americans as criminals and second-class citizens. This film was used as a recruitment tool by the Klan for decades. The other film featured here is called Triumph of the Will, directed by Leni Riefenstahl, and was a Nazi propaganda film that displayed Hitler as a powerful leader and the strength of Nazi Germany as a society. Conspiracy theories. These are theories that explain an event or set of circumstances as the result of a secret plot by usually powerful conspirators. Conspiracy theories can be fun to discuss, but also can spread harmful misinformation. Famous conspiracy theories include the moon landing being fake and filmed by Stanley Kubrick, the CIA carrying out the assassination of JFK, and the various anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that state Jews are secretly running the world. In 2020, a false claim about human trafficking and the furniture store Wayfair was circulated online by QAnon members. This led to many innocent individuals being harassed online. AI. Also known as artificial intelligence. AI has taken our world by storm and is literally everywhere we look. AI can be a helpful tool, and most of us probably use it on a daily basis. It can also be very misleading. Here are some examples of AI-generated images and video. The image of the late Pope Francis circulated on social media, and many believed it to be a real photo, although it is entirely made by AI. This is a segment from an article in Library Journal that highlights why we must be wary when using AI for information such as news stories. The BBC published the results of a study in which ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and Perplexity were prompted to summarize 100 news stories. Subject experts found that 51% of the summaries had significant issues of some form, while 19% of AI answers to questions about the news that cited BBC content had introduced factual errors, and 13% of the quotes sourced from BBC articles were either altered from the original source or not present in the articles cited. AI is quick and convenient, but it is far from perfect. Please remember, it is a tool, not a solution, and always remain skeptical. So how can we help identify misinformation? These are some questions that you should ask yourself when reviewing content. We're going to go through each one by one. The first question you should ask is who created this content? Are they a journalist? Maybe they're a professional in the field. It's also worth asking or seeing if you can identify what company do they work for. The next question is why was this created? Is this content reporting? Is it responding? Or maybe it's clickbait. If you're not aware, clickbait is usually a very eye-catching headline that makes you immediately want to click on the article it's about. It's rare the article has substantial information and usually is ads, meaning it is meant to gain revenue for the website. The next question is who is the intended audience? Is this content addressing a general audience to inform? Does it seem to be specifically addressing a demographic or age group? Also, it's worth noting what the tone of the piece is and whether it is addressing you. Was anything left out? How can you tell if anything was left out of a piece? Well, first, ask yourself if this is creating a complete or nearly complete picture of a situation. If you're not sure, simply work through these questions: who, what, where, when, why. If the content does not answer all of these, something might be left out. It's very important to note when something was created. What is the date on the piece? Does that date change its relevance? For example, if you're reading a very outlandish article and you notice the date it was published was April 1st, there's a good chance that this is a hoax. What are the external links? Most articles will include external links to other sources or a list of references at the bottom. So first you should see if all these links work. Do the references they provide also link to working websites or articles? And then if you really want to be thorough, you can go through each reference and ask these same questions: who, what, why, etc. Finally, it's important to note how the content makes you feel. Ask yourself if this was written or made in a way to trigger an emotional response. How does that affect the information it is sharing with you? These are some red flags that are worth noting when reviewing content. First and foremost, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If someone notes that they have alternative sources or fails to list any resources, or maybe they do and they are linked to suspicious or possible hate groups, remember this could be a form of propaganda or conspiracy theory, and those can be harmful. If you find yourself ignoring evidence because you would much rather believe what you're reading to be true, that's a red flag. And another helpful tool is to just check the comments, see if other readers are pointing out things you also found suspicious. This is especially helpful if looking at an image and you're not sure if it's real. Many people will start to whistleblow whether it is AI or not. So in discussing scams, library staff were able to provide real-life examples of scams they received in recent texts or emails. In these examples, we have one that is a final notice for a toll charge. This was sent to a staff member who does not drive. Another to a staff member for a job recruitment site that they had not visited, but was promising a too good to be true kind of opportunity. And the final one claims to be from the DMV, but as you can see, the address there is from an iCloud account, so it is most certainly not from the Department of Motor Vehicles. So what are some telltale signs of scams? Well, first, just like all the examples provided by staff, they contacted you. Also, usually a scammer will dangle bait, most likely money. The most important thing to be wary of is anyone asking for your personal information. This could be your bank accounts or social security number. You should always be on alert if that is something that is stated. Do not give away your personal information easily or quickly. This is how people become victims of identity theft. If they are asking you to pay them first, you're probably being scammed. Sometimes this is because they are offering you a prize or debt relief or an employment opportunity, but you have to pay an upfront fee. That's very suspicious and very unlikely anything that will help you. And finally, if they are asking you to outright wire money or send them gift cards, that's very suspicious and also a very easy way to get money quickly for someone. So do not follow through with those requests. So we've talked a lot about things to be careful about, but what about things that can help us? Well, here are some sources on the internet that you can use to fact check and follow up on things you're just not sure about. Factcheck.org, Open Secrets, Snopes, and PolitiFact are all great for fact checking or just researching any story that might be circulating. Open Secrets is especially good if you are researching politicians because it shows where money comes from in political campaigns, and that can sometimes change how a certain issue is being presented by somebody. Wayback Machine is not so much a fact-checking tool, but it is an internet archive for, well, everything internet. For example, if you want to see what Facebook's homepage looked like in 2010, you can find it here. Or if you're feeling nostalgic for MySpace, you can see it on Wayback Machine. It's just a helpful tool for any research. And as always, if you believe you're being scammed, you should report that to the Federal Trade Commission. Their website also has other good resources for identifying scammers and what to do. Now, how can the library help out here? Well, the library has multiple free resources such as computers, books, films, newspapers, and periodicals. Use all of these to expand your research. Delaware County Library System also gives us access to databases and direct links to trusted online resources on their website. It's a great starting off point for when you need to do research or look things up online. Library programming, such as this presentation, will help sharpen your literacy skills, which help when evaluating information. Aside from presentations like this, we have book clubs and discussion groups such as history forums. And of course, you can always ask your friendly neighborhood librarian. If you come across an article that you're just not sure whether it's reliable or maybe an image that you're just not sure whether it's AI or not, bring it by the reference desk and we can look into it together. Thank you so much for joining us for this presentation. This presentation will remain on our YouTube page if you care to revisit it. And of course, like any good presentation on fact-checking, here are the sources we use for research and presenting the information in this presentation. Feel free to visit any of these links or books for more information on identifying hoaxes, conspiracy theories, misinformation, etc. I'd also like to thank Diane Arnold at DCLS for helping share resources for this presentation.